The passions of the beast run wild.
Will be Jason's unlucky.
That's the last thing you should ever say.
Good chow.
Okay, you girls wait here. We'll go get the wilderness permits, and then it's the trail time.
Aye, aye, boss.
Because what we might have back there is a bad bear.
Relax. There's nobody here but us chickens.
Come on, Gail, let's go. We're not going to the prom.
I could have been raped or killed out there.
By what, Gailey? A horny chipmunk? I hear it comes down to his knees.
A lot you know. There was something out there, and it followed me here.
Oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll your leg over, the man in the moon.
Oh, I wish all the women were like statues of Venus, and I was a sculptor with a cast iron.
Oh, roll your leg over, oh, roll.
Hi, this is Hazel Tanksy from Voodoo Massacre, and you are listening to the Hysteria Continues.
Indeed you are. Welcome back to the Hysteria Continues. And first up, Nathan, do you want to tell us who our intro star there was?
Oh, that is Hazel Tankersley, the star of the Old Federal Massacre, Hairdresser Massacre, Voodoo Massacre, and she's also my grandmother.
Oh, yes. And if you haven't seen those massacre movies, they're all on YouTube, aren't they?
Yes, they're all there.
Yes, and have we talked about, is she going to be making an appearance in your upcoming movie?
Well, not in this one, but, you haven't seen the last of her. Okay. I'll say that.
Right, okay, well.
Or the shoe rack.
Oh, the shoe rack, yes, the shoe rack is a bit like Hitchcock, isn't it, the cameo?
Uh-huh.
So,
and he has to make a cameo in all my movies.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us, Nathan, and also say hello to our other fellow happy campers over in Dublin. We have Erik. How are you doing, Erik?
I'm not human, and I've got a Twix.
I doubt for much longer.
Yeah.
Referring to, a little bit of a kind of obscure, well, probably not that obscure, because you know what we're covering this time. But before we get on to that, Joseph, how are you doing?
It's chow time. I'm having a cucumber and cream cheese sandwich on oatmeal bread.
Gross.
That's in The Prey.
Oh,
Still, it's gross.
It's from the famous sandwich scene in The Prey, which we'll get onto later.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We are covering, of course, The Prey from 1980, which is Nathan's pick. And so we're going to be getting onto that a little bit later. I think it's going to be quite an interesting one, isn't it, Nathan?
Yes, it is. Very interesting.
We're also going to be, Nathan, you spoke to a very special person as well, didn't you? Which we're going to be hearing from a little bit later. Do you want to tell us who you spoke to?
I spoke to the wonderful, terrific Laurie Lathine.
Yes. Who you will remember, who was in The Prey, as well as lots of other fantastic 80s horror movies. So that's a really fun interview, so definitely worth sticking around for. Before we get on to that, I guess we might as well do what we normally do, is have a quick chat about what we've been watching recently. And I'm going to start with Erik, because I believe you watched, and I haven't seen Prometheus yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow night. But did you watch that last night?
I went to see it yesterday morning, actually.
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. Now, I know the reviews have been mixed, and actually we get it a week before the States, which is unusual, because it doesn't open for Nathan and Joseph till next Friday, as far as I know. What you need to do is go in with lowered expectations, though, because I don't think it delivers on the promise of the trailer, to be honest. I was expecting something maybe a bit more ponderous and low-key, whereas this is much more action-packed sci-fi summer blockbuster, to be honest. It's got great ideas, but there seems to be huge chunks of the story missing. I imagine there's probably a 3-hour director's cut on the way on Blu-ray, because what happens is whereas a normal plot would go A, B, C, D, this jumps from A to D in the blink of an eye, and you're left feeling, did I miss something? It's trying to cram too much stuff into its 2-hour running time. Having said that, the 2 hours absolutely fly by, because they're just... The special effects are fantastic. There's some great ideas in there, great action set pieces. It doesn't all quite gel. into one cohesive whole like Alien does, but I thought it was really, really good. Actually, when the initial trailers came out a few months back, I said to a friend, it looks like it is going to be thematically similar to Brian De Palma's Mission to Mars. And having watched it now, I have to say it is very much like Mission to Mars.
Okay.
Which is a film that I'm the only one who actually kind of enjoys. It's very, very cheesy, whereas Prometheus isn't cheesy in any way, but it shares a lot of sort of plot elements with Mission to Mars, I thought.
Okay. Well, I say I haven't seen it yet, so there'll be no spoilers.
Yeah, you'll be bowled over by the visuals.
I can tell you why it jumps from A to D and back. It's because it was written by Damon Lindelof from Lost. He doesn't know how to write a cohesive story.
All right.
So there you go.
Well, I'm hoping that there is a director's cut that maybe will add an extra half hour. Because, I mean, I'm normally one who likes films to be 90 minutes and no longer. But in this instance, I could have done with it going on for another half hour and maybe filling in a few gaps. I mean, it leaves a lot of things unanswered. A lot of things happen that are never explained. And actually,
big surprise.
Ridley Scott was on talking to Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo on Friday on the BBC, and he said that if there is sequels, there's supposed to be Prometheus and then 2 more films before you get to the start of Alien. So don't expect this film to stop where Alien picks up, if you know what I mean.
What's the 3D like?
Nothing pokes out of the screen, which again is myself and Nathan's big bugbear with modern 3D. Because the film is quite dark, I don't know. Did you see Tron Legacy?
No, I didn't.
Because that was quite dark as well, and so because of that, the 3D didn't really. It works in places, but overall, it's you could see it in 2D. I don't think it would make a difference. There is actually a good There's a trailer before it showing 6 minutes of the new Spider-Man film, and I'm not into comic book films at all, but the 3D in that now was very good.
Right, okay.
You have Spider-Man's legs flying out of the screen as he swings through the city.
Okay, well that sounds good. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? We seem to be getting films before the States does in some. It's like Piranha 3DD, which is now, I think it's just come out in the States, isn't it? But it's kind of vanishing from theatres, disappearing quicker than Toy's career.
Oh, after all the nice things I said about Susie last week when it was her birthday.
I'm sorry, that the feud has to continue, Eric.
Yeah.
Even just for comic effect.
Did you know that I told you that she was at some festival doing a duet with Sweet, who sang Blockbuster and Fox on the Run.
Yes, I know. Yes, so clawing away back up that ladder from the very bottom. But anyway, enough of
if Toya needs a job, I'm sure Susie needs someone to change her bedpan.
Ooh. Oh, Joseph, you don't.
I guess gave you one, Eric. So there you go.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, well, we'll call another little truce for at least 5 minutes. Is anything else you've been watching, Eric?
Yeah, I bought the Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray box set because I found it sort of semi-cheap online, and it's not very good. The picture quality on all the films is, like the 1999 DVDs I have. So there was no point really buying it, and there's no new extras as far as I can tell on it. So I was a bit disappointed in that. I'm still a big fan of the first 2. 3 and 4 I was a huge fan of in the 80s. They've worn out their welcome. I find them a bit boring now. 5 I used to hate. I kind of can tolerate now. 6 I always hated and still do. And 7 I always thought was overrated and I still do as well. But if you're going to buy the box set, I'd wait till it comes down in price, or I'd wait for a proper remastering job to be done on them because they look shoddy, to be honest.
Well, it's curious, isn't it? You would have thought they're pretty big films, aren't they? You would have thought somebody would have done, But yeah.
Because Dream Warriors in particular looks really VHS-y, I thought, which I thought would be the one they'd put the most care into because it was one of the most successful.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, there's no need to upscale then, I can guess.
No, not yet. I'd wait for a better remastering job. Not that I'm one that's fussy about these type of things, but I was kind of disappointed.
Okay. And
just one other thing, I've been listening to a couple of podcasts. One is a new one called Adventures in VHS, which is really good. It's what he does is it's a guy from the north of England, I think, does it, and he takes a VHS tape, analyzes the trailers, talks about the movie, and maybe interviews somebody involved. There's only one episode out so far, and it's analysing creepazoids, and he interviews the director David Toccoto, and it's actually good. And the other podcast, it's not actually strictly a podcast; it's a live radio show that we should have plugged on the last podcast but forgot. It's Nathan's new one. It's the Axe to Grind radio show, which has had 2 episodes so far. You can listen to them in their archive. Nathan, I don't know if you want to give out the address or if it's worth giving out the address. Is it quite convoluted?
Oh, yeah, I don't even remember it right off.
Okay, well, we'll put it on our Facebook. And the first episode you talked about TV horror with Amanda by Night. Amanda Reyes. And the second episode, you were talking about Sorority House Massacre, and was it Sorority House Massacre or Slumber Party Massacre?
It was Sorority House Massacre 2 and Hard to Die.
That's it, yeah. And you were interviewing the guy who played...
Orville Ketchum.
Yeah, I was going to say Hal Ketchum, but that wasn't right. Yeah. So when is your next episode, Nathan?
Wednesday. I think it's going to be at 11 p.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, with Blog Talk Radio, unless you pay a decent sum of money, they block off a certain time frame. I guess it's the prime time frame, so you either have to have your show before it or after it.
So you're going to 11 p.m. your time on
Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Okay, that'll be 6 p.m. for us, which is prime time over here.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Will it be 6 p.m.?
How would that be 6 p.m.? That would be...
That'd be
4 a.m.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm getting my maths all mixed up.
Yeah, that's not prime time. I think
no, 4 a.m. is definitely not prime
then.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
I would imagine so, seeing as it's a school night, yes.
But we can listen to them all again, though, can't we?
Yes. They're all archived.
Yes, and definitely worth a listen. So, we shall continue to let you know what's going on.
In Australia, it's probably prime time.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Leave me
somewhere. Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
So, and you've been watching something else, haven't you, Erik? That we've all watched. I think a little
a little Welsh film.
Little Welsh film. I've got a little clip here. Tell me if this is the clip, same clip that you have, because we've got 2 clips here. But here it is.
We interrupt this program to bring you a news flash. Police have discovered the body of a man buried in a few feet of soil near the Paradise camping site in Haltonbridge. Police believe the man was poisoned and has been there for about 4 weeks. The body has not yet been identified, and police are appealing for any possible witnesses who were in the Haltonbridge area last month to come forward. Now back to the program. Thank you.
My God, that has been going on.
You mean about the car and that?
Yes, the car and what I saw last month.
What did you see last month and what are you talking about?
Well, remember the car I told you about last month? The one with the sack and the spade by it? It's the same one Kevin and I found today.
Do you want to tell us, Erik, what that is?
That's a Welsh film called Cursed Woods or Cursed Woods. It's from 1983, hence the inclusion of Culture Club. And if you only watch it for one reason, watch it for that scene, because you have the sort of final girl and her, I don't know if it's her boyfriend, dancing quite hilariously. Is that a word?
It is. It's like
for once, it's a word.
funnest.
Yeah. Dancing to it outside their tent as they camp in the woods. I had another clip actually where the final girl runs down to the shops to buy some lard. Do you have that clip, Justin?
I do have that clip.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeff's gone to get some firewood so we can cook a meal. Have you got some lard?
I haven't got any of that. I remembered everything else, even the can opener, but I didn't remember any of that.
No, I haven't got any either. Sorry.
I'll pop out to the shop and get some. It's not fair.
Yeah, that's the exciting lard scene from Cursed Woods.
Yes, I love.
There actually is a quite effective head twisting scene in it that rivals a similar one in The Prey.
Mm-hmm. I
don't know what to say about it. It's kind of jaw-droppingly compelling.
Yes, and you can watch it on YouTube, can't you? Because it's only 15 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes. It's in 2 parts on YouTube.
And it's got the most spectacular comb-over in the history of the moving pictures, isn't it, I believe?
Yes.
Which is that guy you just heard going, he's the one who is obviously the non-actor, well, they're probably all non-actors, to be fair, but he's more of a non-actor than the rest of them, and he's got the most fantastic comb-over, which is about 4 miles long, isn't it? And seems to sort of flap around in the wind. But
and they have the most fantastic Welsh accents, as well.
And it's worth watching if you're kind of a horror movie or slasher movie completist like kind of I guess we are, to see a Welsh slasher movie and one from 1983, and so it's the beauty of the internet. These films turn up you didn't even know they existed, and so yes, that's something we've been watching. Have you had a chance to watch it, Joseph and Nathan? Have you seen it yet?
No.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I will.
Okay, well, let us know next time what you think. But yes, well, thank you, Eric. Who wants to go next? How about you, Joseph? What have you been watching?
Well, I watched this last Friday. We rewatched the Slumber Party Massacre trilogy. And I've done a complete 180 on these films. In my opinion, the third was always my favorite, followed by number 1 and then number 2. But this past weekend, I think the third is now my least favorite because it's kind of depressing when they get into the whole, motive behind the killer. He was molested by his uncle, and it just doesn't seem fun. It just seems kind of. And the first one I still love, but I think now the second one is my favorite because it's so weird and just so outlandish. And I had a lot of fun with the second one. And I used to hate it, a lot, but now it's like. I want to watch it again because it was so fun.
I haven't watched any of them for a while. I actually just posted on the Hysteria Lives Facebook group a review for the original Slumber Party Massacre from Dan Geyer, and if anyone's been reading those, they see he hates all slasher movies with a passion, and Slumber Party Massacre.
He reviewed that and the Incubus, didn't he?
That's right, yes, and which also made him very, very happy, considering he even hated Halloween, so he hated everything, but...
well, it would be like us having to review 2 rom-coms or something.
Yeah, I kind of guess so. To be fair, but that's interesting because I don't know. I mean, I'm probably like you actually. I think part 2 is so outlandish that I don't think I liked it very much when I first saw it because it's such a kind of 180 degree, isn't it, from the first film?
It's totally not like the first film at all.
Is that the one with the killer with the guitar and the drill bit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the most mid to late 80s film you can imagine, isn't it? Whereas the first film is kind of almost like tipping its hat back to 1980,
that guy
81, isn't it?
Played the killer. The guy who played the killer in the second film, he is a good dancer.
Which is not what you expect to hear for a slasher movie, is it?
No, I mean, he's a really good dancer.
What about you, Nathan? What did you think of them the second time around, or maybe the 25th time around? But
it's probably the 50th for each one, and each one gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Okay. I love them all equally, dearly.
So you think we might get around? Because what would be really interesting to do the first one, see if we get, is it Rita Mae Brown or one of the women behind the film to talk about it? Whether or not they would, I don't know, but that would be quite interesting.
Well, Tony Brown that runs the old Hochstetter Place website, he's been in contact with the director and the actors, and so. Okay,
well, maybe we could get him involved in the podcast at some point. That's looking to the future. What about anything else, Joseph, you've been watching?
Yeah, yesterday I watched a movie called In Memoriam. It's it came out before Paranormal Activity. It's one of those movies, but it came out in like 2005, and it was never released. It still hasn't been released. The only way you can see it is to find it streaming, and I only found it on some kind of weird, almost virus-ridden site that you had to click a lot of pop-ups to get rid of to watch it. But it's not bad. It's a really good idea about this guy. He's basically he finds out he's got cancer and it's spreading to his bones and it's gonna he's gonna die. And they say the only chance he would have would be like a 15% chance, and that's only if he amputated his arm and his foot. And he decides he doesn't want to do that. He decides instead he's going to rent this house with his girlfriend. And he's going to set up motion cameras, and he's going to document himself dying so he can leave it to some kind of publisher for cancer or something like that. But anyway, he gets in this house, and the usual shenanigans start happening. Things start moving, and he finds out that the interesting part is that they can't leave the house because every time he leaves, he gets worse. But while he's in the house, he gets better. But so there's kind of this. This thing going on, if he leaves, he gets worse. If he stays, he gets better. But if he stays, his girlfriend, could get killed or whatever. So it's kind of a conundrum. And basically, I don't want to spoil it, but he finds out that he's getting the effects of chemotherapy, even though he turned down chemotherapy from some kind of strange ghost, which I won't spoil what's going on. But yeah, it's an all right film. It's got a few good jump moments. I think the only thing that ruins it is some kind of kind of flat acting here and there, but overall, not too bad. I mean, it's kind of a shame it's not been released because it's not terrible or anything. It's pretty good.
Okay, well, sounds interesting. It's funny, isn't it, these films that are kind of sitting around, because especially if you, I kind of guess you were involved in the film, if you made a film or you're acted or something, then for the film either not to come out or just kind of vanish into kind of limbo, which I think happens to a lot more films than you would imagine, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really strange how, a lot of these crappy films, get released, and something like this, which isn't, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's actually, fairly, it's competent and it's certainly put together real well. It just has not been released, and it's really weird.
Okay, well, it's one to look out for. Is there anything else?
Yeah, just one more. I rewatched Extro from 1983.
Okay, yeah.
It's about, I don't really know what it's about. It's about alien abductions and weird creatures, and it's like a David Cronenberg film, without David Cronenberg being involved. I mean, it's so weird and so outlandish. It's totally, early 80s, and it's got a really low budget, but for the low budget, it has outstanding like creature effects and parts where people's bodies are being eviscerated and bloody and all kinds of weird things happening. There's one scene where it's probably the creepiest scene in the film, where this people are driving down this like dirt road in the woods, and you see their car just kind of pass the camera, and then the next shot is this weird alien looking spider like Reagan from The Exorcist crawling on its hands and legs backwards like across the road, and it's like a jump scare, and it's really effective, and it's another weird scene in a really weird movie, but I love this film. I can't wait to watch it again. I mean, I know Nathan hasn't seen it, and I think he would really like it because I know he likes a lot of Cronenberg stuff.
It's the film that's famous, isn't it, for having, is it Miriam Darbo, who was one of the Bond girls, and she gave birth to a fully sized man in it. Is that film?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because it's also, wasn't it banned in this country, Erik?
It was on the original Video Nasties list. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So cool. Well, it's that one I haven't seen for ages, and they did a number of sequels to it as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the sequels, but I've heard they're kind of hit or miss or so-so. Yeah. But the first Extro is really good. I think it's really criminally underrated. I'd definitely check that out.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, great. Well, thank you, Joseph. How about you, Nathan?
Well, unlike my fellow co-hosts, I have to say that I decided to broaden my horizons and watch a more sophisticated film, and I watched Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. No, it's a really good movie, in my opinion, just because it's funny, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and, I like to think it's sophisticated, like the scene at the end where the hookers and their cult leader, played by Gunnar Hansen, are having their ceremony where they drink the ceremonial motor oil of the sacred chainsaws. They pass that around the motor oil, and they all have to drink it, But yeah, very good, fun movie. Have any of you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
And from that, it doesn't sound like you thought it was a fun movie. Or...
Well, I don't really remember a whole lot, but I remember when I first rented it from a video store, I thought it was just a slasher film, but it really isn't. So I was kind of disappointed, but I think I watched it again, and I liked it a little bit.
Well, a story is, well, not a story, this is what happened in the UK, because after the whole Video Nasty debacle, there was like a period of about 5 or 6 years where things got cut loads, but also you couldn't actually release a film with the word chainsaw in it. So they released it as Hollywood Hookers, which with a little picture of a chainsaw.
Yeah, a picture of a chainsaw where the chainsaw word would be on the normal poster. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you talk about prostitution, but you can't talk about chainsaws. That's weird.
In case somebody goes nutsoid and decides to become a Hollywood hooker with a chainsaw, but there you go. I mean, stranger things have happened, and stranger things are happening in the press in the last couple of weeks anyway, aren't they? So who knows? But yeah, that was, I've never seen it. I'm probably because I didn't really want to watch a film called Hollywood Hookers, to be honest, when I was growing up, for various reasons. So anything else, Nathan?
No.
Well, something I know that we've all watched a little bit of, probably, is something that's turned up and we won't say where, but baby Jesus has delivered onto us this little gem.
Miss Hammond, since you obviously find your own words more interesting than those of Farnsworth on the anatomy of a frog, read the note.
What a hunk.
Louder, Miss Hammond.
What a hunk. Really cute, tall, and with great bod. Kind of the Latin lover type. And his name is Slick.
After school, Miss Hammond, 1 hour detention. Study hall. You and your friends.
But tonight's the prom.
Tell that to your hunk.
Yes, if you may not have heard that before, but if you recognise the voice, that was Jamie Lee Curtis in Prom Night, but not the regular cut, it's the TV cut, and it's something that has been a little bit of a holy grail for me for quite a few years, and so finally tracked down a copy of that. And to be honest, I haven't had a chance to actually watch the whole thing the whole way through, but there's quite a few scenes in there, and if you remember with Halloween... in Halloween 2, they shot extra TV scenes for Halloween because they had to either cut some bits out of it to make it up to a certain time for the station or whatever they had to do. And I believe in Prom Night, this, from what people have been saying, these extra scenes were actually in the shooting script, but were cut out of the theatrical release for some reason, but were put back in to the TV version when they cut out the kind of nudity and some of the, well, I mean, Prom Night's not a very gory film anyway, but they cut out some of the violence. So it has that scene, extra scene in, and also has a completely a new character as well, which is... the Mr. Hammond, played by Leslie Nielsen, as a principal, his scatterbrain secretary in Banana Yellow, eating a banana. So these are things you're missing if you've not seen the Prom Night TV version. Also doing yoga on the floor in his office, and various other things, and has this kind of fantastic 80s perm in it. So has anyone actually watched it all the way through yet?
I did, yeah.
I haven't watched it all the way through. I did watch a lot of the new scenes, though.
Yeah. I mean, Erik, did you think it added anything to it, or did it?
I think it did, because I've always said that for me, the joy of Prom Night is in the first half of the film, where it's all, high school hijinks, and I think when it gets to the horror elements, it's a bit lackluster. So I enjoyed the inclusion of the ditzy temporary secretary and the scene of Jamie Lee Curtis getting into detention for passing the note around. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean,
How about the one with Leslie Nielsen chopping wood in that god awful shirt?
It was 1980. Give him a break. Yeah,
and it's great. Great sort of.
I was surprised at what they cut out. Was what surprised me, because I mean, as you said, Prom Night is not that graphic a film. Like there was even the scene where Slick opens that hollowed out book and he has all the joints inside. That bit was cut. That shot was cut out of it. Even though they showed them smoking the joints after, they weren't allowed to show where he kept them, which was weird.
I've spoken to people who say that sometimes, I mean, it's a bit like we've spoken about before with Black Christmas in the when they showed it on the BBC. Sometimes they showed it with the pretty pink cunt bit in it. Sometimes they didn't. I'm sorry.
Double gasp.
You've all heard that word before, surely.
I've never heard it before. What's it mean?
My ears.
Anyway, blast from the past.
Me and Joseph are like Rod and Todd.
But yeah, people have said that there's been some
freaking ears.
Sometimes these scenes show up and sometimes they don't, and it's one of those things. But Prom Night, yes. So it's been a bit of a holy grail. And just often a slight aside, their Shout Factory DVD is putting out a new wing called Scream Factory, who are putting out films such as Terror Train, Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 on Blu-ray, as well as Death Valley, the desert-based slasher, Deadly Blessing as well, all coming to Blu-ray. And they look like, excuse me, they're going to be really, really good additions. Obviously, Terror Train would be fantastic to have on Blu-ray. But Halloween 2 is a bit of a bizarre choice, but it's a good choice because they've obviously Universal put out the 30th anniversary edition not so long ago. But this one has got audio commentary with the director and Dick Warlock, and it's got all sorts of things. It even comes with a little nurse's hat as well for Haddonfield Memorial Hospital nurse's hat. So it looks like it's going to be really good fun. The only downside for me and Erik is that it's probably going to be region locked, which means we won't be able to watch it on Blu-ray unless we have a region-free Blu-ray player, which I may have to invest in if these are any good. But I think they're also coming out on DVD as well with the same extras, so I may just have to go for that instead. So have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I saw the news.
Yeah, I saw a post about it. I don't want to buy it because the minute I buy it, they'll come out with another one.
Yeah, well, it looks really, really good. They've even got the Halloween 2. They've got a making of Halloween 2 as well, and they're interviewing Lance Guest and all sorts of people for it. So it's basically an edition that Universal should have put together rather than putting Terror in the Isles on, which is a great extra in itself. But I would have preferred a decent special edition. So and also it'd be great to see Halloween 3 on special edition Blu-ray as well. But yeah, I'm going to have to look into buying. It'll be my third Blu-ray player, which will be a bit ridiculous. But
why did you buy? Why have you got two?
Well, I've got one, and then I bought a PS3, which plays Blu-rays, but neither of them were region free. And all the
it's quite tricky to get a region free Blu-ray player.
It is quite tricky, yeah. They're a bit more expensive. It seems to be trickier than because pretty much every DVD player in the UK, well, not every, but lots of them are region free. But Blu-ray, it seems to be a bit trickier and also more expensive as well. But I may have to go down that route, especially to see Terror Train in high definition would be fantastic. But just going back to Prom Night, it would be. I think they are. I heard rumours they're trying to get Prom Night to do a special edition of as well, which would be amazing. So yes. But what you're probably going to talk about Prom Night in far more detail on another show. So we're not going to talk too much more about it yet. But Nathan, did you weigh in with that? Did you get a chance to watch the extra scenes?
I did not get a chance to.
No, but you will, I'm sure.
I will, I promise.
Okay, right. Well, report back when you have. What else have I watched? Did I talk about The Wolfen on the last show?
I don't remember hearing about that.
No, it's just I watched that again, and it's the Albert Finney werewolf movie that came out in 1981. So obviously you had the other two, American Werewolf in London and also The Howling, and The Wolfen is a very, very different type of werewolf movie. It's set in New York, when a real kind of crumbling New York, an area they're pulling down, and there's some kind of wolf-like creatures which are basically stalking and attacking people who are tearing down these tenement buildings. And Albert Finney, I think is he a policeman or is he a reporter? I can't remember. He's one or the other, and he's basically chasing these animals or whatever they are, and it's all tied into American Indian sort of mysticism and various things like that. And I remember being a bit bored by this movie, and unfortunately, I still found it quite dull. It's kind of the director said it wasn't a horror movie. He didn't think he was making a horror movie. You can tell with this, it's not. It looks great, it looks fantastic, but it's the Wolfen you don't see until the end, and they are really just real wolves. It's shot in this kind of wolf vision, which is a bit like if you have seen the video for Atomic by Blondie. It's that kind of thing where everything's kind of that kind of inverted kind of very early 80s video graphics. And it's really overused. It looks great, but and there's some great bits of gore in there as well. But I found it, it was a little bit dull. I know it's got its fans. I'm just unfortunately not one of them, and which is unusual for a horror film from 1981, which is, as for many of us, is my favourite year for horror movies. Have any of you guys seen it?
I remember liking Wolfen. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I thought it was kind of unusual. It's certainly different from The Howling. I liked it a little bit.
Okay, well, it's got its moments. I just found it a little bit dull, but that's just me. And the other film I watched quite a few of them was the Puppet Master movies, Charles Band's Puppet Master from 1989, and that's partly because I did a audio commentary, a joint audio commentary for the first Puppet Master, which is coming out on Blu-ray in the UK, I think in July or August. And I really enjoyed the films. They're really, really good fun. They're sort of staple late 80s, early 90s video, but great production budgets great. They look great for relatively low budget movies, and essentially are kind of, I guess, slasher movies with like killer dolls. And of course, around that kind of time, you had, Stuart Gordon's Dolls and Dolly Dearest and Child's Play and all these kind of films all coming out with these killer dolls. And so it was a real thing. All kind of, I can guess it was all off the back of the Karen Black episode, the Zuni Doll and Trilogy of Terror. Which is, fantastic little, kind of proto-slasher type of thing, I kind of guess. But have you all seen Puppet Master?
Many years ago I saw it.
20 years ago.
I did recall thinking it was quite good, though, so I'm definitely going to pick up the Blu-ray when it comes out. August the 20th, I think, is the release date for it.
That's right, and it was directed by David Schmoller, who obviously did Tourist Trap, as well as The Seduction and Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski. And he does this, there's a really, really good short little film called Please Kill Mr. Kinski, where he describes how he made Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski and he wanted him dead throughout the film.
I think a lot of people wanted Klaus Kinski dead.
Yeah, I think so. And also it was the slasher, the kind of, there's one of the figurines, one of the puppets in Puppet Master is based on Klaus Kinski. It's kind of it's a fun film and it looks absolutely fantastic on Blu-ray, so that's worth checking out when it comes out. But
88 Films, I think, is the name of the company, isn't it? That's right. Is that a new company?
Yeah, they are a new company, and they're hopefully going to be putting out quite a few pieces. And it's definitely worth rewatch. It stands up really, really well. It's a very, very strange film in a lot of ways, but very, very entertaining. So worth a watch. So,
who did you do the commentary with, Justin?
It's Callum Waddle of High Rising Productions.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so we recorded that last weekend. So that was good fun. Yes.
Excellent.
Well, that was our recently seen. And I forgot to mention, we're very excited actually because we've got another quiz. This is the fourth and maybe final, we shall see.
Now, hold on, Justin. Before you get into the quiz, I just want to let everybody know that if you want to see the prom night TV cut, it is on my site, The Body Count Continues. Just go to the-bodycount-continues.com, and at the top menu, you see something called TBC Features. Just click on that, and you can find it in there. You can watch it streaming.
Yes, and I know a lot of people have been asking where to see it, so go head along there and see it, because definitely worth a watch. Great, well, thank you, Joseph. And Nathan, are you ready and raring to go?
Are you guys?
Yes. Hopefully it's easy, because remember, Eric's already said he may throw a hissy fit.
Oh, I will. Unless I win.
Oh, unless he wins.
Unless he wins. Well, let's see. Well, let's see what happens. How do you? Are you kind of ready, Nathan?
I am. I have my questions in front of me.
Okay, and you're going to mark it.
All right. This first question is for Joseph. Joseph, in Just Before Dawn, how many trees do we see on screen? I'm just kidding. That's not the question. I had to give a ridiculously impossible question at the beginning. No, my questions are a little easier. So, all right, here's the real one.
Is this for me still?
This is for you. Yeah, starting with you. In Black Christmas, what's the name of the little girl who's murdered in the park?
Oh boy. Hang on. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Listen for that keyboard going.
Yes, I'm listening for that.
I'm not typing. Actually, I don't remember. What is it?
Well, I got to go to Erik. Do you know Erik?
Oh, is it Sylvia?
No, it's not Sylvia. Justin?
Is it Nancy?
No, it's not Nancy. Her name is Janice.
Janice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Chandler Bing.
Oh my God. Okay, Erik, this one's for you. In Friday the 13th, towards the end, Brenda, Bill, and Alice play a game of strip Monopoly. What is the first item of clothing lost?
Is it Bill's boot?
That is right.
Yes!
Well done, I knew that one.
Okay, Justin. In Halloween, why was Annie's boyfriend Paul grounded?
Oh, I can remember the dialogue, but I can't remember the reason now. He snuck out and did something, didn't he? But I can't remember what it was.
Okay, I'll pass it to Joseph.
God, let me think. Let's see. I don't. Was it for skipping school?
No. Erik?
Was it because his parents caught him? Is it throwing eggs and soaping windows?
Oh, Erik got it.
Yeah, back of the net.
So at the end of round 1, Erik has 2, and Joseph and Justin have 0.
It's fixed.
Okay.
He's playing to my strengths, which is the sort of more well-known slasher movies.
Actually, this first round, I asked you each a question from your favorite slasher movie. That's what I was trying to do with this first round.
Oh.
Okay, these other rounds have no rhyme or reason. Joseph, in Slaughter High.
Oh, I don't know. I hate that movie so much.
You could take a guess.
All right, go ahead.
When they all go back for the reunion, the character of Shirley finds something of hers at the school that she says she lost on prom night. What does she find?
Is it a corset?
No. Erik?
Is it her virginity?
No, they make a joke about it, but no.
Oh, right.
She doesn't find that at the school.
Okay, let me have a guess, because I know Justin's going to get this, because Justin did a commentary track for this film, so he'll know. Is it a bracelet?
No. Justin?
Well, embarrassingly, I can't remember. Was it? It wasn't the yearbook, was it?
No.
No.
No, afraid not. It was her gloves.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Erik, this is the question I'm going to be very disappointed if you get it wrong.
Oh, the pressure. I can't take it.
In Sorority House Massacre, whose clothes were the girls very excited about trying on?
Cindy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
I remembered that one.
Try on Cindy's clothes.
Okay, Justin.
Yes.
In Serial Mom, the police show Beverly Sutphin a letter, a threat letter that was sent to Dottie Hinkle. What does the letter say?
I know this one.
It's something. It's Pussyface, isn't it? Is it Pussyface?
Yeah, but you gotta get the beginning of it.
It's not "fuck you, Pussyface," is it?
No, it's not.
I can't remember. I should get half a point for Pussyface, shouldn't I?
I'll give Justin half a point for that. Okay, but Joseph, do you know what it is?
Is it "I'll get you, Pussyface"?
Yes.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, at the end of round 2, Erik has 3, Joseph has 1, and Justin has a half.
I like that.
How did Joseph get 1 if he got half on that last one?
Okay, I'll have to give you a half, Joseph. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because Justin did get the face part.
So I just want things to be fair.
Yeah, Arnold doesn't like that.
I have to keep that fair. Okay. All right, back to you, Joseph. In House on Sorority Row, what year is the prologue set in?
Oh, hang on, I know this. It's 40. Is it? Oh, I know I'm going to get this wrong. Is it 47?
I'm afraid not. Erik?
Is it 1945?
I'm afraid not.
Oh.
Well, let's think about this. If it's 1983, Eric's probably, is it 1960?
Oh, you were so close, but I'm afraid not. It's 61.
60. Oh, I should get a half point for that.
I don't think you should.
Okay. No, I can't give you a half a point for that. Okay. Erik,
Yeah.
In Halloween 2, how does the character Janet die?
Janet. Is she the one who gets the syringe into the side of her head?
Okay, you get a point for that. I thought you were going to ask me which character it was, and I was like, I can't tell you that. Otherwise, you'd know. Okay, Justin.
Yes.
What slasher film has the tagline, violence beyond reason, victims beyond help?
Oh.
And I got that question from your website, actually.
I bet you did. Yeah, no, it's very familiar. Violence beyond reason. I know. Unhinged.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
What do you mean, oh?
You got one right. You're catching up on me.
Actually,
you've already won.
And here, I got one bonus question. And Justin, if you could play the song that we discussed.
Oh, yes.
Okay, this doesn't go to anybody in particular. Whoever can just answer it. In what episode of the Hysteria Continues do we first hear the cat flushing the toilet song?
Episode 7.
All right, wait a minute. What did you say, Eric?
I said 8.
Wrong.
Said 7.
Justin, 7. Wrong. Joseph?
I'm going to say 11.
No.
14.
No.
6.
15.
No.
12.
No.
13,
12,
9.
18.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
23.
Oh.
What, number 8?
18.
18. Oh, really?
I said 8, so I'm the closest.
We were actually, I was surprised when I went back and listened. We were actually 18 episodes into the show before we ever heard the cat flushing the toilet song.
And
so did you listen to 17 episodes before you got to it?
No, I didn't.
And it's amazing.
Actually, I was lucky. It was like the second episode I listened to.
Well, then how do you know it was the first?
Because I remember how it went down. Justin was like, okay, we need to find something to play for number 2. And then he found that and he goes, wait a minute, here's something, cat flushing toilet. And he clicked on it and then we heard it and everybody started laughing. So
and all our lives changed forever.
I know. It's the beginning of a legend, wasn't it?
And Cameron still thinks it's for it.
And some people hate us for it.
At the end of my successful quiz, Eric has 4, Justin has 1.5, and Joseph has 0.5.
Oh, poor Joseph.
It's funny how Eric, every one of his questions were suited to him.
Yeah.
I know. It might have been something to do with my threats for throwing hissy fits during the week.
Okay.
So thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan, for that.
Justin's weren't that bad either, because Halloween, Serial Mom. The worst one that I did is Joseph's might have been unfair, the Slaughter High question. But other than that, I don't think any of them was unfair.
No.
I don't think
Joseph
they were unfair.
Lost. What can you say? Shit happens, Joseph. I'm sorry. Let's get over it.
That's all I have to say about that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we shall see whether a quiz comes back, or maybe we might move on to some more top 3s. We shall see. We've got plenty of ideas for top 3s, haven't we? So we shall discuss those amongst ourselves, I think, for the next show. Well, thank you, Nathan. I enjoyed that, and I'm sure everyone did, apart from Joseph, who came last again. But what can you do?
Hey, I may have came last, but I came best.
Well, thank God this isn't a video cast. That's all I can say. Right, well, thank you for that. And Nathan, I think you've got, it's your choice coming up, isn't it? Shall I play the trailer for our feature presentation?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Nathan, you'll come back in and introduce us to the wonder, or is it the wonder? That is the prey.
The wonder.
Out there, I swear I saw it.
It was supposed to be a fun weekend camping trip.
Man, am I ready for tonight.
Did you hear something?
But there is something out there in the woods.
What the hell are you doing?
Something horrible. It's not human. And it's got X. The Prey. Rated R.
It is the summer. 6 students have hiked into a remote forest high in the Colorado Rockies. The boys to climb the infamous Suicide Peak, and the girls to be with their boyfriends and enjoy the sun and the camping. But one by one, the campers are hunted and killed by something that lives in the forest. The climax develops with a spectacular final chase, and the ending will shock and haunt you. If that doesn't make you want to see this movie, then nothing will. Except for that tagline. It's not human and it's got an axe. It may not be an accurate tagline, but still, it's really, really catchy. You know, almost as much as The Mutilators, I'd say. I love The Prey. I know that it's got its detractors because of the incessant nature footage that permeates the film. But I still really like it. I love the early 80s atmosphere. You know, I love the woods as a setting. It's always a winner for me. Movie set in forests. And of course, it's got, you know, Lori Lathine in it, who's one of my favorite scream queens of all time. It's got some interesting death scenes. I think my biggest complaint actually is the fact that a bulk of the deaths don't happen until the very end of the movie. You know, it seems to take that long. I mean, there's deaths, you know, here and there, but, you know, it's like the main cast doesn't really get attacked until like the last, 5 minutes? But, you know, those 5 minutes are slasher movie gold. You know, regardless of that, I'm still a huge fan, and I actually was surprised by the ending. I actually really did like the way they ended the movie. It's kind of a weird, downbeat note. Anyway, I'm sure there's a lot more I could say about it, but I think I'd like to hear from Justin.
Right. Well, what I would say is I agree with you that the last 5 minutes are slasher movie gold. It's just, if the rest of the 85 minutes that preceded it were anywhere near as good or as exciting, then the film would be like a mini classic. I reread my review on Hysteria Lives, which again is probably over 10 years old now, and I'm kind of warmed to the film a lot more than I had when I wrote that. But having said that, it's still a chore. You know, ultimately, a lot of it is. You know, it's one of those films when Erik says sometimes the measure of a film is if you find yourself checking Facebook and looking out the window and things like that. It's, you know, the film's lost you, and The Prey kind of did that throughout it. It's you know, we'll come on to all the background and stuff, and I'm sure you've got, you know, a fair bit, and obviously Laurie talks about it shortly. But without getting anything away, you can tell it's not made by people who have any real understanding of how to make a thriller or a horror movie, apart from really in a rudimentary way. I like the characters. I thought the characters were good fun, you know, and again, we talked about this, about how films like the Friday the 13th remake are populated by assholes for the most part, whereas this film, you had slightly annoying characters, but they're all quite likeable and fun and a bit quirky. And you didn't really want to see them die any more than you do in any kind of early 80s slasher movie, because obviously that is the raison d'etre of the slasher movie, is watching teenagers die. But again, they're fairly likeable, even if they're completely one-dimensional. The Prey is kind of sunk by endless wildlife footage, and in the hands of better filmmakers, they would have used it in the way of a film like Long Weekend, the Australian film where nature starts taking revenge. I'm not suggesting that nature would start taking revenge in this film, but or a film like Just Before Dawn, where the woods really feel like another character. They feel quite sort of dangerous, and there's some menace hanging in those woods. But that's completely beyond the capabilities of the makers of The Prey. What you're left with, though, is intermittently fantastic scenes, really good scenes, some fun dialogue, fun characters. But it's just padded out with like scenes with like characters sitting around a campfire, just talking about things that anyone sat around a campfire would talk about, but they're not the kind of things you actually put in a movie. It doesn't make any sense. It's unless you're trying to pad out the running time. And of course, the endless wildlife footage it just becomes quite tedious. I mean, I love wildlife, and if I was in the woods, I'd love to see, wildlife. In fact, yesterday I was in the woods and I saw a deer, and that was fantastic. But I don't want to watch a slasher movie with endless shots of raccoons washing their faces and spiders spinning webs and things like that. It's not, it's just a bit silly, really. So I kind of guess that's it from me at the moment.
Okay, Joseph?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Justin. I mean, the last 5 or 10 minutes are like great. I mean, I love, when the killer's POV going up that cliff and those two guys are rappelling off the rocks, and it has that that heartbeat kind of soundtrack, and then that dude gets his neck snapped, and the other dude gets, cut. He falls, and then his body gets twisted around. From there on out, they have that chase scene, which is really good, but man, getting to that moment is just wow. I mean, it was like pulling teeth. I mean, I kept looking away from the screen, like trying to find something else to keep me occupied, keep my mind, stimulated. I mean, I was so bored. A lot of that nature footage. I mean, I can understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to, talk about the nature of the prey and the predator and all that stuff. But it's just they didn't know how to pull it off. I mean, you can focus on a spider spinning a web all you want, and it's not going to be, subtextual unless you.
Well, it seems a little bit rickety, Doctor.
Is it? Yes, but of course it's fairly easy to get it up. It's getting it to stay up. That's what counts.
What did I say?
You said pull it off.
Let's pull it off.
Oh, boy.
I couldn't.
You two need to grow up.
Never.
But anyway, wherever I was, I don't really even remember now. But basically, yeah, I find the movies, like Justin said, it's very tedious. I mean, you can focus on a spider all you want, but it's not very subtextual unless, something else is going on at the same time. You don't even get to see or really know what the killer is until the very end. I mean, it turns out to be some tall guy who's burnt, which, kind of negates the whole tagline. It's not human and it has an axe. It is human. It has an axe for like 10 seconds at the very beginning of the film. I don't know. I don't really care for the movie all that much. I love the last 10 minutes, but, getting to that 10 minutes is not something I want to sit through again.
Aw. Eric?
Well, you'd be glad to hear, Nathan, that I kind of enjoyed the film. I can see where Justin and Joseph are coming from. Initially, when I watched it for the first time, which was probably this time last year, I didn't care for it at all. But for me, the problem with the pacing, it does not involve the wildlife footage. For me, I was watching the longer cut of the film, which has this 25-minute extended flashback scene showing the sort of origins of the killer. Well, it doesn't even show the origins of the killer, really. It just shows
the gypsies, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of this gypsy camp and how the sort of vengeful townsfolk set fire to it, thus, leaving one lone survivor who turns out to be the killer. And it went on forever. And the film really grinds to a halt because it just goes off in a completely different, unrelated tangent to the rest of the film for 25 minutes. I really could have done without that. I've since watched the other cut of the film, which cuts out all that sort of backstory. And while it has problems of its own, I found it much more entertaining to watch. I mean, that scene that Justin mentioned where they're all sitting around the campfire and they're all talking over each other, it seems to go on forever. And it doesn't propel the story along at all. It just seems bizarre. It seems improvised. And I know that when we talk to Laurie later, she tells us that the film was shot fairly quickly, and that comes across there. But having said that, I love the character of Gail. I thought she was hilarious. I love the fact that this girl has gone camping in her sort of Jimmy Choos and her, she's bought her entire makeup kit and her hairbrush and her hairdryer probably as well. I just think her character is great fun. And Laurie Lafine with that fantastic haircut.
That mop top.
To rival anything that Adrienne King displays in the original Friday the 13th. I found it really enjoyable. As I said, the last 10 minutes are really good. They're on a par with sort of any sort of B-level slasher film from that era. But I can see, I mean, the wildlife footage didn't bother me that much. It kind of created a certain ambience, I suppose, of isolation in the middle of the woods. It is a bit excessive at times. But I mean, there's plenty to like in the film. I didn't find it boring apart from the gypsy flashback, which takes up a third of the movie if you're watching that cut of the film. But otherwise, I thought it was quite good.
It literally is 25 minutes long.
It is
flashback stuff.
Yeah.
How many?
It goes on and on and on.
How many Romany gypsies are there in California? Do we know? Is California known for its gypsies?
Is it set in California?
I thought it was set in Colorado.
But it's made in California, wasn't it? Maybe it's set in Colorado. But in Colorado, are there lots of Romany gypsies?
I don't know. I've never been to Colorado.
No. And do their lives revolve around shagging? Is that all they do?
Well,
I think gypsies are like I think gypsies are supposed to be like con artists, aren't they?
Well,
gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
Well, no, it just seemed to be. I found it bizarre. I mean, one of the things, the other thing I just want to say quickly before I forget, was what I thought was very funny was the beginning of the movie where it suddenly goes into, they kind of ripped off Stravinsky's Rites of Spring, didn't they? You know, the music, classical music at the beginning, which almost gets
that
a disco
reminded me
work
of.
over.
I think it's John Barry's music for The Black Hole. If you want to play the clip there.
Did you send me a clip?
No, just the. I thought you were going to play some classic Kenneth Williams there because I said The Black Hole.
Oh right, sorry.
But no, the score reminded me a lot of the music from The Black Hole.
Mm. Well, no, it
was kind of bombastic and a bit over the top for a film that was essentially a killer.
It sounded like it was banged out on like 10 pots, like bang 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 bang.
Well, no, the beginning music was it when it starts going is actually Stravinsky's Rites of Spring, which is kind of so they kind of stolen that and then done a little arrangement on it, and it's just a little bit bizarre to something so grandiose for a film like The Prey. But
how about speaking of the beginning? How about the scene where they're actually eating? He's like, "Good chow." He's like, "Mm-hmm," and they just keep nodding their head over, over,
I love that scene.
God.
It's funny.
At about that point is when I really wanted to like claw my eyes out, and it just started. So I knew I was in trouble.
But it makes you wonder why didn't they actually get some teenagers to do that, or a teenage couple or something like that by having a middle-aged couple in turtleneck sweaters. It was just bizarre, wasn't it? But just with that whole flashback, did anyone else get the impression? And we'll come on to the background of the movie, but almost like that whole section was nothing to do with this film at all, but was somehow shoehorned in, or they filmed that at some other time and then sort of built because don't they talk about when he talks about the flashback, when he's talking about the 6-year-old kid who's the same size as a 7-foot giant or something, but you don't actually see the kid, do you, in the flashback? I got the impression that maybe that whole gypsy thing was like an aborted sort of version, another film that the filmmaker started making and then abandoned. Perhaps I don't know. It just seems
that would make sense, because as you say, they're focusing on this one boy, but you never see him in the flashback. No. It's all about other people in this gypsy camp, including porn stars.
Porn stars.
Yeah, and all they do is fuck through the whole thing.
Yeah, so it was probably some kind of softcore thing that never got completed. So it's got Erik Edwards is in it, and he was a famous porn star in the 70s. Not that I'd know.
Yeah, Erik Edwards. He was in Tracy Takes Paris.
And Grandma Does Dallas.
Don't ask me how I know that. I'm not lying. He really was in Tracy Takes Paris.
There is a film called Tracy Takes Paris.
Yes.
And did you hear the one I said? Because I did a little bit of research, and it's something called Grandma Does Dallas.
Grandma Does Dallas.
Yes.
Grandma?
Well, exactly. I don't know. I've not seen it, but so very strange. So it was kind of it was an interesting film, and we'll talk a bit more about the kind of the background and sort of when it was made and everything after perhaps we've heard from Laurie. Do you want to cut to that, Nathan, or is there anything else you want to say? We obviously can talk some more about it when we come back.
We can go ahead and cut to the interview with Laurie. Okay, well, do you want to introduce that? Yes, Laurie Lethane, who plays Bobby, was kind enough to do an interview with me, and this interview is probably a year old, but we finally got around to airing it. Indeed, okay.
Wow, what a hunk.
Let me handle this.
Morning, ladies.
Morning, officer.
Officer? What, do I look like a cop?
No, I just like your uniform.
I'm with the Park Service. My name's Mark O'Brien.
Hi. I'm Gail.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, this is Bobby. Hello.
Hi, Bobby.
And Nancy.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, you girls going camping by yourselves?
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Nathan, and I am here with Laurie Lethane, and she has graciously agreed to do an interview with us. And first, I want to say thanks a lot for being willing to do this.
Oh, you're so welcome.
The Prey.
This one was shot in 10 days. 10
wow.
days.
Just 10 days.
10 days. And Summer and Edwin Brown, it was their first kind of exit from the porn industry.
Oh, yes, because I heard that they had actually were trying to do something serious for, something different than porn.
Yeah, so they decided to do a serious, horror film in 10 days. And my favorite part about doing this film was where it was shot. It was shot up in Idlewild in California, and it introduced me to Idlewild. And it was great going up there, because first of all, we were outside for 10 days just shooting in the woods. And it was really my first horror film. So, it was fun for me. It was like an eye-opener. I think I'd done Charlie's Angels, and then I pretty much right after that, I think The Prey was maybe my second or third job.
Oh, wow. And that's kind of interesting because, Bloody Birthday was released before The Prey. The Prey didn't seem to get a release until 1984. Do you remember what year it was shot?
Someone else asked me that, and I don't. It was, I want to say earlier 80s, right? Somewhere around that, because I did Charlie's Angels in 1979. So I want to say early 80s, but I can't be sure. Did it even play in the theaters?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't remember if it ever did.
I don't think it did. I think it went right to VHS or something.
Yeah, because I tried to look up information to see if it had played, but I couldn't really find anything.
Right. No, I don't remember it playing in the theaters at all. Not even as a second feature.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, but the film was shot in 10 days.
Well, that was fast. That must have been a really rush to get the scenes in and everything.
Yeah, right? So hence, the long shots of the running streams and the close-up of the insects and stuff.
Right. And your character had a really interesting death scene in that movie. What was it like filming that?
Oh, man, it was that. Well, of course, I'd never been killed before. This was my first death scene. And I think it was where my foot got caught in like a trap, and then it like swung me over, and then my head like slammed against the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just thought, wow, this is interesting. With the thing about horror films is, if you couldn't act your way out of a paper bag, that was okay. But the death scenes were really important. So I remember them taking an extraordinary amount of time on trying to figure that out. And, it was like, running up and then, my foot getting caught in and then, me screaming and crying and being chased by the killer and all of that stuff. And then they had sort of this stuffed dummy that looked like me.
Uh-huh.
And then they would sort of switch that over, and it was, they actually spent a lot of time on trying to get that to work. So I was all fascinated by it,
Yeah, I can imagine so, especially, that being the first time you ever, got killed off in a movie. It'd be kind of interesting to watch yourself off behind the camera, slinging a dummy of yourself into a tree.
I know, I was just kind of going, wow, this is interesting. Okay, I guess this is what, because when I first started, I started acting right off the bat. I came up to Hollywood. I lived on Catalina Island. And I came up to Hollywood just on a whim. And I started acting right away. So I was really, I was naive. I was very naive. And I just, I'd get a job and I'd just show up. It's like, you have to, I sort of sat back and thought, wow, look at where I am here. I'm sitting here, standing here, watching myself get killed.
I can imagine how that would feel. That is very interesting.
Yeah, but it was fun, because I think I was one of the last ones to get killed off. So, of course, I'd watch everyone else get killed off and, the how they did it and everything. And so it was like, wow, this is cool.
Do you remember any, funny behind-the-scenes things that happened, behind the cameras on The Prey?
Well, we were so rushed that there was it was one thing after another. It was almost like a big blur because it was shot in such a small amount of time. and because it was their first kind of jump into something other than pornography. I mean, it was action for them, like where people were actually moving. So I remember there was, it was sort of paint by numbers because they didn't know what they were really doing, and we were all kind of young actors. We didn't know what we were doing, but there was one actor that was in it, Steve Bond, that was in the Prey, and we were friends before we did it, so it was fun hanging out with him. But as far as any stories, it was just there was no time for it. We were just working.
Yeah, I imagine in 10 days they probably had the camera rolling the whole time.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was fun.
I know I speak for, my fellow co-hosts on the Hysteria Continues that we really thank you for being willing to talk about these movies. It's been really fun kind of going down memory lane with you on these.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
And, I wish you, good luck. And I hope everybody listening will check out Lori's official website and look her up on Facebook, her fan page. And please like it.
Thanks, Nathan.
Bobby, come with me.
Hi, this is Lori Lethine, and we're on Hysteria Continues.
And I want to thank Lori very much for being willing to do that interview. So, guys, what else can we say about the Prey? What was up with the guy's eyes when they were in the water?
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. Does he have his eyes painted onto his eyelids or something?
I don't know.
That's what
it's
it looks
a very
like.
weird scene.
Yeah,
it is. And also, Steve Bond was quite famous for all his clothes falling off, wasn't he?
Really?
Haven't you seen the photos?
I think you sent photos.
I did. I shared some photos. Well, we did. I was doing some research.
Oh, yes, yeah. They fell off in a Christopher George kind of way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He seemed to do quite a lot of nude modelling. I think he's still in show business, isn't he? I think he's kind of in doing voiceover work and stuff. Wasn't he in General Hospital as well, or something?
Something like that.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But yes, so it makes you wonder. Well, yeah. He was how he did that with his eyes, and what else he can do.
What I want to know is, did Michael Jackson steal the moonwalk from Nancy? Is the name of the character? Is it when she backs away from the killer
Debbie
at the very end?
Thurston.
Debbie Thurston.
Justin describes it as a strange kind of moonwalk on the review on Hysteria Lives, and that's exactly what it is. She sort of there's a scene in The Simpsons where Homer walks in on, I think it's Apu having an affair. And he backs away, and he keeps backing away until he gets back to his own house, and that's what it reminded me of. She just keeps backing.
But it's just great. I just love that scene because it's so well done, isn't it? And it just makes you wonder why the rest of the film wasn't as good as that. Because if it had been, it would have been fantastic. And obviously, you couldn't have a whole film.
But Laurie said it was shot in 11 days, was it?
10 days, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, this is one of the films. I mean, Nathan, have you got any background that Laurie hasn't covered? Do you want to talk about?
Actually, I think she covered about what I had. The biggest thing for me was the fact that the guys that made this, were formerly making porn movies.
So Edwin and Summer Brown, wasn't it, a husband and wife team?
I didn't know it was.
Yeah, although if you look them up on the IMDb, I don't think it lists any of their porn credits on there.
No, it does. Yeah, it's Naughty Girls. Yeah, Naughty Girls Need Love Too, and Hottest Parties.
I don't think they did.
What?
Need Love Too.
Oh, we don't think Naughty Girls Need Love Too?
No, I don't think they did.
Well,
by the way, when we were listening to Laurie, I tried looking up Grandma Does Dallas on IMDb, and it's not there.
We'll look up Erik Edwards.
Oh, yeah, there's too many Erik Edwards. I couldn't be bothered.
You couldn't be bothered.
What do you have to do?
Oh, they're still.
I'm not that.
Apparently, they're still doing porn.
Are they?
Or they're doing softcore, like softcore Cinemax porn.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's a little quiz. Not a quiz, but like a question for you. What does Edwin Brown and Summer Brown have in common with John Travolta?
Saturday Night Fever.
No.
Oh.
It's another film. It's the one other film they didn't direct, but they're involved with from 1980, another horror film. So
Blowout?
Not Blowout. No, it was another video.
Was
nasty,
it Human
actually.
Experiments?
Oh, with Ellen Travolta.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes. So they were involved in that. So it sounds like they kind of tried to go legit, as in, you know, move away from porno, with Human Experiments and The Prey, probably 1979 to 1980, because this is one of the eternal questions, isn't it? When was The Prey made? And I spoke to Debbie Thurston quite a few years ago now. I wasn't able to get hold of her this time, but she said that the film was shot in 1979, towards the fall of 1979, which would make sense. But of course, if it was, it's not a rip-off of Friday the 13th, is it? It's a kind of contemporary, I can guess, of Friday the 13th.
Well, I think you're right, because Laurie, her very first acting role was in Charlie's Angels in an episode in 1979. So she said that she got this role in this movie, you know, just right after Charlie's Angels. So
yeah,
I'm just watching it here in the background, and the credits have just rolled, and it's got a copyright date of 1980 on it. So.
Well, I mean, from what I heard, the film was released very, very in a very limited way in 1980, and then of course it got picked up by New Line, and there's some discussion about what actually happened with it, whether or not they hacked out the whole gypsy prologue thing, or if that was actually, or the flashback, if that was actually in there or not at the time. But they obviously, when the version they released is the one that was on was We Know and Perhaps Love, that came out on video very shortly after, wasn't it? Which has got the video box, which I've got the same one actually as you, Nathan, I presume, that you were reading the back of the video box, weren't you, when you did your intro?
Actually, I read that off your website.
Oh, right, okay, right. Well, it was a full-on
It's kind of weird. I'm looking at the Human Experiments thing.
Yeah.
It's also got Jackie Coogan in it, who was in The Prey. He was the sheriff.
Yeah.
But then both him and Carol Strucken, or whatever his last name is, they were both in the Addams Family TV show. So I wonder if they all
No, Carl Strucken was only in the movies, I thought. He wasn't in this TV series. He played Lurch.
He wasn't in the TV series?
No, he played Lurch in the Addams Family movies, as far as I know, and Jackie Coogan was Uncle Fester in the TV series from the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And of course,
I never watched the TV series, so I'm not sure.
Neither did I.
Because Jackie Coogan, who is probably very famous for that, but he was the kid, wasn't he, in Charlie Chaplin's The Kid? That's how he first became famous. But he died on the 1st of March 1984. So when the film's obviously, and they say it's a 1984 film, I mean, obviously you look at the fashions, and Nathan and Erik are our kind of resident fashion experts when it comes to early 80s fashions. So you can tell straight away that we're looking at late 70s, early 80s fashions, aren't we?
Well, Laurie's dungarees give it away, I think.
Yes. You wouldn't have seen those in 1984, would you? Definitely not.
No. She would have been in leg warmers and a snood.
Yeah. What else is there? Well, just to say, the film was shot in Idlewild, wasn't it, in California, which I think Laurie may have mentioned. Because Carol Strucken, who I interviewed for Hysteria Lives, there's a short interview of him up there, and he talks about it, and he says Steve Bond, he kind of doesn't remember a great deal about it. He remembers Steve Bond turning up on set in a white Corvette every day, and he said he was going to be like, he reminded him of like a Hollywood sort of leading man type, expected to go on to great things, and I suppose he's gone on to things, but whether they're great or not is open to debate, I kind of guess. But yeah, it's just kind of the whole gypsy flashback thing. There was something on IMDb, and there was somebody on there saying that they were an extra in that scene, and they were a kid in that scene, and their uncle was the one singing around the campfire. And he said it was kind of from round about, either 79, 1980 or 1981. But of course, the other thing we haven't mentioned is Jackson Boswick, isn't it? And the ukulele solo and the joke, which I have.
Wide-eyed frog joke. Yeah.
I have the joke here.
I want you to stop me if you've heard this one. It's the story of the wide-mouthed frog. Once upon a time, there was a wide-mouthed frog, and she had some babies, and she wanted to find out what to feed those babies. So she decided to hop out into the forest and ask the other animals what they feed their babies. So she went hopping down the path, and she came to a rabbit. said, "Hi, I'm the wide-mouthed frog. I just had some babies, and I was wondering what you feed your babies." And the rabbit said, "Well, I feed my babies carrots and lettuce and cabbage and parsley." "Oh, thank you very much." She came by a lake and she saw a big alligator on the edge of the lake, and she hopped up to it and said, "Hi, I'm the wide-mouthed frog, and I just had some babies, and I was wondering what you feed your babies." And the alligator said, "Well, I feed my babies wide-mouthed frogs." "Oh, you don't see many of those around here, do you?"
Obviously, something slightly lost in. Well, obviously, the couple of things. One is that obviously you can't see him with his mouth wide open when he's pretending to be a wide-eyed frog. But also, what you can't see is who's telling the joke to. And do you want to tell us who that is? It's a fawn, isn't it?
When you saw the deer in the woods yesterday, did you not tell it a joke? No.
Well, I would try to get close to the deer, but they ran off. And
since we're talking about Jackson Bostwick, how about the scene where he discovers Gail's body?
Oh, I love that trifecta.
Fantastic.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you describe that for us, Joseph?
Oh boy, I don't even know if I can. Basically, there's a scene in the film where he happens upon the body of Gail, who is stuffed in some underbrush. And they cut between him and her and then a bunch of vultures in like this menage a trois scene that keeps going on. And every time they focus back to him, he keeps making these like different, facial expressions that they keep getting worse and worse. Like his acting just kind of sinks lower and lower and lower.
I think they've been creative, weren't they?
That's actually a very interesting scene, I think.
They were trying to be creative, weren't they? With that whole cutting, and it just became quite farcical. But it was one of the funnest moments, I think, of the movie.
The funnerest.
Funnerest.
Yeah,
what I thought was one of the funnest moments is when we were introduced to all the characters driving in their car singing that sea shanty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the campfire scene was funnerer.
Funnerer.
Well, did you notice in the campfire scene, one of the guys is actually trying to tell a ghost story, but the other ones are like, "Yeah, so I got in an elevator the other day, and
and then all the water was rushing in, and I couldn't open the door."
Yeah, it's like he's trying to tell a story, and you're sitting there talking about whatever the hell it is.
Too bad it couldn't have been a really good ghost story, like in the woods, a low moan. Each night,
one by one,
knew.
With eyes
and ears ripped out.
Huh?
I know we all love "Don't Go in the Woods."
Yes.
Oh, I love "Don't Go in the Woods."
I think there's something. Yes. Well, I'm sure we will revisit that at some point.
I liked Laurie's death scene in that movie. I thought they did a decent job. Like, it was pretty original. Like, her getting caught in the trap.
And actually, the special effects with the guy landing on when he falls, his head gets turned around, and when Debbie Thurston's character comes up and has a look, the way his head's turned around and his body is lying there with his backside up, but his head turned around, and it was quite well done.
They're done by John Carl Buechler, director of Friday the 13th Part 7.
Yes.
And famous effects man, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought the special effects were pretty good. For that, and
I thought the makeup on the killer at the end was quite good, because I was kind of building up to a big disappointment, but it actually was not bad.
Yeah, I thought it looked fairly convincing for a burn victim living in the forest. One thing I wanted to talk about was the actual ending. I mean, we have to spoil it, but basically, at the end, the killer doesn't kill the final girl. He takes her into a cave and impregnates her. And I guess he wants like a family, or, he wants someone to have sex with. And, it got me to thinking about the gypsy footage. It's too bad that they lingered on that too long. If the gypsy footage would have been like, maybe 5 minutes, and they'd have focused on, how the gypsies pretty much have sex all the time, it would have gave more weight to that ending where, the killer didn't really want to kill her. He just wanted to have sex, like the other gypsies. What do you guys think about that?
Or do you think he just didn't like blondes?
he must not
because he didn't go after Gail that way. He just wanted to kill her.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe, I don't know.
Too high maintenance.
The way on IMDb, each film has a list of plot keywords attached to it. For The Prey, it has a lot of plot keywords, and here are a few. Sexual attraction, female frontal nudity, breast suckling, sex, outdoor sex, sex orgy, sexual perversion, sexual desire, sex in car, stripping, adultery, and critically bashed.
See, I think the killer, I think he went after the final girl, who he went after, because earlier in the film, Gail's all, she's all stuck on herself and primping and preening and putting on makeup. So he didn't want someone high maintenance. The other girl, Lori Lathine's character, she's just kind of space case, so he didn't really want her. The other girl's kind of nurturing. There's that scene where she's washing her boyfriend's hair. So maybe he wanted someone who would, take care of his burns and
she wouldn't max out his credit card like Gail would.
Yeah,
yeah.
She'd keep the cave going and take care of the cave kid.
Yeah.
She's
well,
more
in all honesty, as far as Lori goes, he didn't really kill her. She got caught in a trap. So I mean, he might have taken both of them. So I mean, I think Lori's character got off lucky, actually.
Well, mind you, her dungarees did nothing for her, did they, really?
No. It made her look like a children's television presenter, I thought.
See, I'm wondering how, as much as I love the ending and I think it's kind of clever, I'm wondering how in the world, he impregnates this girl and keeps her in a cave for 9 months and she doesn't escape.
Well, she went insane.
Mm.
So that cave's like her padded cell.
Well, we didn't see inside the cave. It might have been like a luxury 5-star honeymoon suite from the Hilton.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she mightn't have wanted to leave.
Maybe he had a lot of chow in there.
Yeah.
It could have been. Did you know, one other quick thing was that the film, because I got quite a few lobby cards from Mexico, and the film obviously did get released down there, and somebody on the Hysteria Hysteria Lives Facebook page translated some of the tagline. So I've done that quickly now, and it says, when you know the monstrous size of the hunter does not explain how he could rape his victim. For this film was calculated dose of horror that can resist a human being. Forgive us if we calculate wrong victims. And the film's called Hunting Diabolique, or Diabolica. So
does the killer use radiant cutlery to kill the sexual teenagers?
Yes.
Shut up with your radiant cutlery.
Well, if you're wondering what that was from, because my book, the slasher movie book, is now out, just been released in America, and the New York Times did a piece on it, which I was very pleased about. But I was looking through, just doing some searching for other reviews, and there's something called the Mex Report, which I presume is a Mexican, and I think what happened was it had been translated into Spanish, then back to English, and it was just really bizarre. Review, wasn't it? Because it came out talking about slutty teenagers, radiant cutlery, and these films are mostly made for an immature audience and things like that. It was kind of, it's just all a bit bizarre, but there you go. So is there anything else? Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Justin, I was going to ask, do you have the original UK VHS of The Prey?
No, I don't, actually.
Okay, because I was looking on the BBFC website, and it was passed uncut in August 1986 with a running time of 91 minutes and 51 seconds, which would seem to indicate that it's the version with the long flashback to the gypsy camp.
Well, it could be. There's that whole... it could well be, couldn't it? But it's that whole kind of...
It could be including the trailers and logos and that, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Do either of you know if... I know it here in the States, when it was released on Thorn EMI. It was released in a clamshell. Has anyone ever seen it in a big box, like a carton?
Well, the version I've got the Thorn EMI.
Because I read that someone had a big box version, and I've never seen a big box version. I've only seen
I had a small.
Yeah, I had a small box and a clamshell, but I've never seen the big box version. I wonder if that actually exists.
No, I've not seen it. I've got the clamshell.
Is the UK art the same as American, Justin?
No, it's not, is it? It's got it's a painting of a woman, sort of kind of a little bit like the Mexican lobby card of Debbie Thurston, sort of like looking around, looking to one side, and there's hands coming towards her. I've also got I'll post it, but I think it's the Australian VHS is a different sort of image as well, which has got it's got the same tagline, but it's got an axe with the killer's hand holding it and a screaming face reflected in the axe. And I think that must be, it's an R-rated one, but I think it must be the Australian Video Classics Gold, so which I think is the Australian video label. So well, that's The Prey. Is there anything else you wanted to say about it, Nathan, or anything else before? Sorry.
I was just going to say that you've missed out on the major star appearance in the film, which is Gary Goodrow. He plays Sergeant Parsons, who's the person who rings the sheriff to tell him that 2 people are missing. He went on to play a small part in Dirty Dancing.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
Well, there you go.
I can't remember.
Justin, is that video you're talking about? Is it the one? It looks like it's got like a bluish monster hand, and a woman's face is in the axe.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. It's on. You can see that on VHS Wasteland.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's the Australian release by the look of it. So, but yeah, I mean, the film never got a release at the cinema in the UK. I don't think. But yeah, was there anything else we want to say about The Prey before we maybe move on to feedback?
I'm wondering why anyone would want to actually eat cucumbers and cream cheese on whatever.
I'd say it sounds like something Justin would eat as long as it was vegan.
It really
cream
does.
Cheese.
See, I like cucumbers, but I don't like cream cheese.
I see. I'm the other way around.
Cream cheese is quite an English sandwich.
Yes, it is. It's very much something you'd eat at Wimbledon.
It is indeed. Yes, and of course it is the Jubilee weekend, isn't it? So.
Oh yes.
Really?
You've got your whole
Wimbledon?
house.
Not Wimbledon. No, the Queen's 60th. It's the 60th year of the wonderful monarch ripping off the country.
Shocking! I thought you'd have your Union Jacks flying.
No. Stuff the Jubilee. But
you're probably one of those folk who bought that Sex Pistols single back in the day.
When I was 7 years old. Yes, I did actually. No, I didn't actually, but I would have done if I'd known. But back in 1976, there's pictures of me dressed in. I've got like a top hat on in red, white, and blue, and dressed in foil for some reason. I'm not sure. Maybe I was trying to be Metal Mickey.
How were you? 20, 21?
What, back in 1976? Fuck you, Joseph. No, you know. What?
Did you have a part as an extra on Buck Rogers, maybe?
Wibble, wibble. No, I'm not no, but this time we're not doing anything religious. Not religious. I mean, not religious. What's the word for it? Royalist.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, but anyway, that's the English or the British connection. But yeah, the Jubilee, and it's pissing with rain. Quelle surprise. So yes. Yeah. Well, have we? We're starting to witter now, aren't we? I am anyway. Do we want to go?
I just want to say I'm sorry I can't like The Prey as much as Nathan. I wanted to because I watched it again this week, but it just didn't happen.
I will say it's probably better than Terror at 10 Killer. So
Oh yeah.
I just dread the day that Nathan thrusts Terror at 10 Killer on us.
It's gonna happen.
No.
I'm sorry about your luck. But it's going to happen.
No.
We've got at least 4 weeks or 8 weeks.
We need to talk.
Hey, Leslie.
It's going to be fun. Trust me. Just trust me on this.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to some feedback, shall we? To start off with, I know we have got some bits and pieces, but I've got a voicemail, or in fact, actually, it's not quite a voicemail, but it's Patrick from Screen Queens, which is a very, very good podcast, which I've been listening to lots, and he's been very, very nice, and he's been plugging the Hysteria Continues away every week. In fact, even people phoning his show are plugging away on the show.
Is this the one I sent you, or is this a different
one? Did you send it to me? Did you send me?
I think I did. I think yeah. I totally forgot about it till you mentioned it.
Okay. Well, I'll play it, and if it's not the same one, then I haven't got your one. But let's play it. This is from Patrick from Screen Queens.
Good evening, gentlemen of the Hysteria Continues. My name is Patrick, and I'm the host of the Scream Queens horror podcast here in New York City. Now, I'm calling because about a month or so ago, I received a voicemail message from your very own Justin, and he was telling me how great I was, and how much he loves my show, and how I bring delight to every minute of his day, and all these other wonderful things. And he also mentioned your show. And how could I not be intrigued? So I decided to give it a chance and check it out. And I have to tell you, boys, I am very, very happy that I did. I find your show delightful. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why didn't you just call with a regular voicemail? Why did you go through all the trouble of recording something and then emailing it to us, taking a one-step process and doubling it into a two-step process? Well, I'll tell you. As Justin can inform you, I've got a mouth that is dirtier than a truck stop hooker's hole. And I noticed that you guys keep a relatively clean show. No, which is fascinating given the subject matter, but you tend to dance around with innuendos and never quite cross the line into Piggytown, which is where I live. Now, normally, if this was my show, I would say if you didn't like that, you can go f*** yourself, but it's not my show, it's yours. So I will try to follow the rules as much as I can. Now, I've been skipping around a lot. I don't mean like skipping around my apartment. Well, actually, I was skipping around my apartment, but I meant skipping around in your episodes. You know, I take a couple of old ones, I take a couple of new ones, and this last show, you were mentioning that you guys didn't get enough love for the Friday the 13th episode, and since that's where I started, that's what I'm calling about. I loved this episode. You guys did a great job. Now, first of all, when it started, I'm like, holy floppy ape, it's 3 hours long. These assholes think I got nothing better to do than sit around all day off and listening to your ass podcast? Well, I gotta tell you, the time flew really quickly, and it was full of content, and it was really fun. Every show, I always look at it and go, wow, that's long. But then I get into it, and it's a whole lot of fun, which is, matron, please. See, I'm learning how to be clean. But anyway, you guys had a couple of comments about Friday the 13th that I would like to clear up for you. Now, I don't know your voices well enough yet, but it was one of the American boys, one of the American lads, and you were saying, well, I didn't like the fact that Mrs. Voorhees wore that big sweater, and it was in the middle of summer. It was probably 90 degrees. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I have been to Blairstown, New Jersey, which is where they filmed the first Friday the 13th, and it's in the Pocono Mountains, and I actually pass it all the time on the way to a campground I go to in Pennsylvania, a gay campground where clothing is optional, where I always feel like I'm going to be stalked by a hockey mask killer, but that's not the point right now. But I'll tell you, it gets quite chilly there at night, even in the hot summer. I've been there in August, and it can get down to 40, 45 degrees. So Mrs. Voorhees was being quite practical by bringing along a nice thick sweater to keep her warm on those unfortunate nights. And plus, she's an older lady, gentlemen. She's an older lady, and you know what, but you know how old ladies are? They always be bitching about the cold, yo. Why is it so cold in here? Somebody bring me a cup of tea. I need a sweater. Why is it so cold? You're gonna catch pneumonia. Well, you, old lady. And the other thing I wanted to inform you about is that particular actress that you like to make fun of so much from this movie, Sandy from the diner. Well, I've been to the diner too. I've been to a lot of the locations, but I've been to the diner, and it turns out Sandy is actually Sally, who was a waitress at that diner for 50-some-odd years. And she was an institution there, and everybody in town knew Sally, you know, and if you stopped at that diner, you were probably going to see Sally. You would probably go out of your way to go to that diner just to be waited on by Sally, because everybody loved Sally. And she was such a character and so nice to the crew and the staff that they decided to give her a part and make her immortal on film. And stop making fun of her. She's not a bad actress, she's just herself. And plus, she lived in New Jersey. Everybody from that state looks all f***ed up. They can't help it. Also, I wanted to chime in my 2 cents on which Friday the 13th character I would like to be. Well, I have a choice of 2. Because I really like Brenda from the original. In my personal opinion, Brenda should have survived the movie. She should have been that last girl. Like, I love Adrienne King and everything. She's a great screamer, and she put up a good fight, but Alice is a little dippy. You know, she's a little small on the hat size. Whereas Brenda, she's smart. She knows about nutrition, and she's got the weed. Well, she didn't have the weed. Marcy had the weed, but she had the dirty game, and she had everybody getting naked. She was the only one who had to get lured out with help me, please help me. You know, she was out there helping a lost child. She was out to save the world. And in my personal opinion, like, had she been there in the final reel, she would have stepped up and put her hands on her hips and would have been like, hey, Mrs. Voorhees, what you're doing is immoral. Plus, it's also against the law. And Mrs. Voorhees would have been like, oh my God, you're right. Put down her machete, and they both would have gone composting together. Happy ending for everybody. The other one I want to be, and I can't believe none of you picked it because it seems right up your alley, is Melissa from Friday the 13th Part 7, because she is a rich, blonde bitch. Every line out of her mouth is completely unnecessarily bitchy, and when I saw it, it's one of the few instances, those magic moments that when a character in a movie gets an axe to the head and the entire audience applauds your death, cheering and applauding. And plus, that girl That girl knew how to appreciate her pearl necklace. The pearl necklace that her daddy gave her. That pearl necklace, she was so proud that her daddy gave her that pearl necklace that she rubbed everybody else's face in it. And I'm going to leave that innuendo right there because I've been talking long enough. Guys, I love your show. Please keep up the good work. And come check me out over at www.screamqueens.com. And that's Queens. Justin, say it with me. With a Z. Bye.
Thank you, Patrick. Yes, the wonderful Patrick from Scream Queens podcast. Definitely worth checking out. In fact, he's just done, a couple of weeks ago, did a episode on Bloody Birthday and was discussing how we were very rude about Julie Brown, which I don't remember being rude about Julie Brown. Were we rude about her breasts? Nathan, do you remember that?
I don't remember.
No,
it's been a long time
never
ago.
been rude about Julie Brown.
And I don't remember us being rude about Sandy's acting skills. I think it was her glasses that we were rude about.
Yes.
In the original Friday the 13th.
Well, mind you, her acting skills, it was a little bit like Edith Massey flips burgers, wasn't it?
That's you saying that.
Edith Massey is amazing.
I love Edith Massey. It's fantastic.
And so is the Sandy Sally waitress.
Well, yes.
I love her too. I love everybody though, so I won't say a bad word about anybody.
No, I'm just saying that she wouldn't be playing Shakespeare, would she? Or up for a role in Sophie's Choice or something like that. Oh, that's all I'm saying. I mean, she's great for what she is. And obviously we wouldn't be watching the kind of movies that we watch if we only wanted to see people like Meryl Streep or, really wonderful actors and actresses. Well, not wonderful, but, like classical actors. It's kind of, I don't know what I'm talking about, but thank you, Patrick. And yeah, definitely check out the podcast because I think I've said before, he goes through all the Friday the 13th, him watching them on the first run when he was a kid, and he's up to part 4 or 5 now?
He's done the final chapter on April the 12th's podcast, which is episode 56.
So when's the next Friday the 13th this year? Is there another one this year?
Yeah, it's like
July.
Okay, well, we'll get up to part 5 for next one. So, yes, well, thank you, Patrick. Has anyone else got any feedback?
I have one.
No. Who was that?
That was me.
Okay.
It was Erik.
What about you, Nathan?
No.
Slightly more churlish than normal.
Yeah.
Okay, Joseph, what have you got for us?
This is from Giovanni B. He says, "Hey guys, I wanted to drop you guys a line and tell you guys how much I love the podcast. It's nice hearing people who love and respect the genre talking about the genre in a fanboy type of way. I was born in the early 80s and grew up watching a lot of horror films on VHS and TV. I grew up watching the bigger-known slasher series like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, and Halloween. From this love of films, I've turned into a total cinephile when it comes to genre pictures. After high school, I found myself collecting horror films, and over the years have really gotten into the subgenre. Excuse me. I'm so used to no one knowing what the hell I'm talking about when I talk about films. I'm a filmmaker. I'm used to this whenever someone asks me what influenced me. For a good few years, I watched nothing but giallo films, so I was really happy to see that you guys did a podcast on the genre. I really love the genre and would love for you guys to do another podcast on that subject. I've never been into podcasts, but you guys are really amazing and keep it fun without making fun of the genre. You take jabs at certain films for their flaws without losing that fan love for the genre. Since I started hearing you guys, I decided to give another podcast a try because I'm currently working on a few different type of genre concepts right now, and a certain podcast out there who reviews genre pictures was so bad I had to stop listening to it in the first episode. These guys were annoying. They used too much cheap sound effects as a way to be cute, and worst of all, it was clear they didn't have a love for the genre. Is he talking about us?
That's what I was wondering.
Maybe he's written to the wrong
Yeah.
podcast, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because it's not like us to use cheap sound effects to get a laugh.
Yeah, we would never do that. Anyway, he says, I love discussing films, ones that I love and hate and can respect other people's thoughts, but these guys just came off as pure jackasses. I for sure won't be listening to their podcast ever again, and that podcast is... Actually, I don't know. He didn't say. He goes, that's why I really love what you guys are doing and really look forward to the next podcast. All the best, Giovanni B. I don't know what his last name is, but it starts with a B.
Well, thank you, Giovanni. Well, that's good. And I wonder who that podcast could be. Answers on a postcard.
Maybe it's Scream Queens.
No, it wouldn't, because it's only Patrick. It's only Patrick, and he sometimes get guest reviewers on there. But
maybe it's the Axe to Grind show.
No,
we were all thinking it.
I don't use sound effects.
Actually, I got this email before you even did your first show, so it couldn't be you.
Okay. Well, I've got one here from John Cruikshank. I'm sorry, John, if that isn't how you pronounce your name, but he says, John from Melbourne, Australia here, thoroughly enjoying the updates and podcasts. You may have already covered this, but I'd love to hear you guys chat about your favourite songs from horror movies. And he's given us his personal top 6, which is... he's actually said top 6, we only got 5, but anyway. He says, it's The Night Again from He Knows You're Alone, Everlasting Love from Deadline, 1984, The Ballad of Harry Warden from My Bloody Valentine, The Happy Birthday to Me by Sarita, and Cry Little Sister from The Lost Boys. So, guys, what would your favourite songs be from a horror movie?
Oh, mine is Melissa.
Oh, fantastic.
What's that you're saying, sweet Melissa?
Oh, beautiful.
I love that song. I actually have it on my phone where I can listen to it.
Oh. I always see the image of Dana Kimmel sitting, holding court in that schoolyard when that song starts singing. What a wonderful scene. So touching. I've just won the Sweet 16 one sheet, actually, off an auction site, which I love that image of... do you know the one? It's with the girl in the water covering her
And
breast.
her body's a knife?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so... But, yeah, it was great. How about you, Joseph? Can you think of a song from a horror movie?
If I had to pick one, I'm not sure. Maybe Face to Face from Island of Blood.
Oh my God.
It's so catchy.
Face to Face.
You didn't pick something new? Come on.
Well, that's a good one too.
Right. Well,
yeah,
how about you, Eric?
I guess it'd be Island of Blood.
Island of Blood, okay. Eric, I'm sure you've got plenty.
Oh, I do. There's so many to choose from. I do love There Was a Man So Cold, No Life Was in His Eyes.
Oh, there you go.
From A New Beginning. But I'd say my favourite is probably Touch Me All Night Long from Freddy's Revenge, because it has that dance as well.
Excellent.
Hold me, baby.
Mine's probably got to be that folk song or that country song from Midnight. You know the one?
It's on
Sing it for
your
me.
Cleaver, Saturday Night Cleaver, isn't it?
It's on Saturday Night Cleaver. Yes, it's I can't. You sing it, Nathan, because I can never remember. It's a bit like jokes. I can never remember jokes or how songs go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't. I mean, I can't remember how it starts. So I mean, I'm not. I don't know.
Well, while we're chatting, I'll see if I can get it up on. Let me just see if I can get it up on YouTube.
Nobody brought up Fall Break.
Sorry?
Fall Break.
Fall Break, yes.
Oh, now that reminds me. How about Foosball from Nail Gun Massacre?
Foosball, yeah.
We're living in the Bible Belt.
What about Going to a Showdown?
Yeah.
That's great.
That was in my top 3 music.
Oh, was it?
Showdown, yeah, on a previous episode. Turn on something nice.
Let me just play this. If this is the trailer for Midnight, I just wonder if it's got the... Can you hear this? Is it going to... Nothing's playing yet, but...
I hear it.
You can hear what?
There, fellas.
Yeah.
Don't you make any foolish moves. Keep your hands visible.
You reach for anything inside that bag, and I won't wait to see what you're reaching for.
Ooh.
Should have known better when they came into town. Every sign pointed to what could happen there. Every indication told them to leave now. The wise guys in the bar, the preacher's warning, and the sheriff who made hate a way of life. Go, get out of town. We don't want your kind here. But they stayed.
That's what Erik hears every weekend, isn't it?
Too late to leave. Too late. As the clock approached midnight.
They're not going to play the song, are they?
Midnight. Now the book from the co-author of Night of the Living Dead comes to life on the screen. Don't miss John Russo's Midnight.
Oh, well, apologies. I have to find it for next. So it's kind of, I can hear it in my head, but I can't sing it. But what I have got here is a little bit of...
Melissa, what's that you're saying?
Okay.
Yes.
I have to say, though, that it's kind of stupid, that scene where the girl's like, she might as well take her clothes off.
I had to throw that in there.
Where did that come from?
It's stupid when they're like, oh, she might as well take her clothes off. I mean, she's not even wearing anything that revealing.
No, I know. But she's, Dana Kimmel's so funny in that, isn't she? Because she's so kind of prim and proper, isn't she?
Yeah, she's very stuffy.
She's very stuffy. I wonder if she actually got them to change that. You know, she famously said that she got them to tone down the violence in Friday the 13th Part 3. I wonder if they made her more stuffy in that film on her.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
For all you know, the killer could be sitting right next to you.
What's the song about? What's the line about coleslaw? What is it like? He's waiting to turn us into coleslaw or something?
Yeah. It's a very, very strange movie. I'm still on the hunt for this Midnight song because it's one of my favourites. But
one of my favourite songs is from The Prey. It's roll the leg over, roll your leg over.
One of Joseph's favorite songs that I know of is the opening theme to Fatal Pulse.
Oh, sing it for her.
We actually had a discussion about this on the board not too long ago, and I know the worst one is Rainbow Eyes from Rocktober Blood.
I like Rainbow Eyes.
Oh, God.
I've got rainbow eyes. I like the music by the Clowns and Terror on Tour as well.
Nathan sounds like the lead singer of Dokken.
Yeah.
He's a dream warrior.
13th part, or Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Yeah.
Don't wanna dream no more. Don Dokken. That's his name, Don Dokken.
Oh, hence the name of the band.
Donald Dokken.
That makes sense.
Is he married to Daisy Dokken?
Yeah. His dad's Philip Dokken.
Who's Daisy Dokken?
Well, it's supposed to be like Donald Duck and Daisy Duck.
Daisy, yeah.
Oh, I just got that. That's kind of clever.
Oh, we didn't mention Gangster Rock.
Oh,
always
Graduation Day, yeah. And 4 out of 5 Doctors as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was going to suggest we save this for another show since we could do it again, but I think we've already covered everything now.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember how it goes, but I remember liking the Bruce Dickinson song in Incubus. I can't remember what it sounds like though.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
see, I like the music that they play when the girl's being stalked at the farmhouse. That in the Incubus. Yes,
well,
good music.
I think there's a top 3 in there somewhere, isn't there? And maybe I'll play a little bit of Midnight next time because although it should be everywhere, it's not on YouTube. I can't find it anywhere. But no, what a good question. So thank you for that, John. Have you got anything else? Anything else? Anyone written in?
No, just the contact details on my end.
Well, oh yeah. Do you want to give those
on your end?
Yeah,
yeah, on my end. If you want to leave us a voicemail, that's 858-233-9281. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Hysteria Continues. You can also find Hysteria Lives, facebook.com/Hysteria Lives. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/THC_podcast. We post a lot on my site, The Body Count Continues. That's the-bodycount-continues.com. And if you want to purchase some merchandise, you can find us on Cafe Press, cafepress.com/The Hysteria Continues. And the email address, before I forget, is the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Joseph. And next time, Giovanni might be pleased to hear that we are actually going to be covering a giallo next time. It's my choice, but not just a giallo. We're doing a double bill next time, and it's a giallo and, for the first time, a crimi. We're going to be covering The Phantom of Soho, 1963 crimi, which is the German kind of proto-slasher type kind of movies, and also What Are Those Strange Drops of Blood Doing on Jennifer's Body, aka The Case of the Bloody Iris, the incredibly cheesy Edwige Fenech giallo from the early 70s. So that should be quite a good fun show. So well, join us next time for when we head over to Europe for a bit of cheese and a bit of slash and some good music. So thanks for joining us, and well, I will play out with a little bit of classical music. So say goodbye and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This naked man all oiled up